Imagine returning to a high-growth tech culture like Spotify after an extended leave, only to find you're leading a team of experts who think you aren't qualified to be there. My client felt like she was left behind while building her family. She was a branding powerhouse, but she was assigned a team of PhD scientists who treated her with zero respect because she didn't share their technical background. If you've ever felt like a fraud because a snooty colleague is amplifying your insecurities, you need to watch this. Today, we're deconstructing how to stop trying to be liked and start being respected, even when you're at your most vulnerable. I'm Christina Holloway. For over 25 years, I've coached senior leaders at organizations like Google, Meta, GE, and Oracle to architect their authority and navigate the high-stakes politics of Fortune 500 businesses. On this channel, I show you how to stop playing small and start communicating with the presence that demands a seat at the table. All right, so let's get started. My client was in a respect vacuum. Her boss liked her, her peers liked her, but her direct reports, the ones she saw every day, were uncooperative and dismissive. Here's the backstory. She was a very accomplished marketing executive who worked on major brands in retail. She joined Spotify, where her career started to stall for a variety of reasons. She was brought in by an executive who worked with her previously, but the supervisors she had would rotate out every 18 months or so. So there wasn't any consistency. Then she started family planning, meaning she was out on maternity leave a few times. This kept her in the same position, but also managing different teams and people at different times. And this is the interesting part. There are times in our careers when sometimes it goes on autopilot or feels like you're standing still because personal obligations become more important. So her question was this: how do I get back on track? But more importantly, how do I build up that authority and respect and momentum that went into a holding pattern for a little bit? And this part was starting to mess with her confidence. Do I still deserve to be here? Am I still qualified to do this work? What if I'm not as sharp as I used to be? That last question, that one started to take hold, especially when she had a new team and they didn't know her. She didn't interview or hire them. She hadn't worked with them before. She had another new supervisor who knew she earned her job, but didn't really know her track record of accomplishment. So this affected her. She was caught in a classic imposter syndrome loop because she felt her career advancement had been interrupted. She was looking for external validation to prove she still belonged. But when you seek validation from toxic people, you give them the power to define your worth. And that's what happened here. She was assigned to a team of data scientists who were working on reports for data analytics. And that's part of marketing, but also not necessarily anything she did before in brand. And the more she felt she needed to catch up, the more these team members anchored on her vulnerabilities. And real quick, we have to talk about the tech startup myth. The idea that if you don't have the same technical credentials as your team, you don't have the right to lead them. That's not reality. That's just elitism. In a culture like Spotify, there's often a worship of the individual contributor, the data scientist, the engineer, the researcher. And when you come in from a different world like retail or branding, those experts might try to treat you like a guest in your own department. They weaponize their jargon to keep you at arm's length. But here's the thing about that. A group of brilliant experts without a strategic leader is just a collection of expensive data. My client knew how to lead. She knew how to drive campaigns, but she struggled because she was letting them define the rules of engagement based on what she lacked rather than what they needed. She was playing catch up on their turf instead of inviting them to play on hers, the turf of business impact and strategic growth. That means my client had to make a really difficult shift for a high performer. She had to accept that she could not change their mind. And you know what I'm going to say here? People have their own reasons for why they like or don't like you. And especially in a fast-paced work environment, it has a lot more to do with the culture than it does with your level of likability. In this case, any one of these data scientists wanted to lead that team, but it was too small and it was put under brand for the time being. They had their own resentment that really didn't have to do with how qualified or successful my client was as a director. So to start, We had to work on shifting the assumptions of the team that she couldn't lead them because she didn't understand them. She did understand them. She just needed to be more direct and confident in her communication. And that started with building out her communication toolkit to reinforce her leadership style. Layered on top of this were some other team members who liked to stir the pot. They were gossipy and passive aggressive and liked spending their days creating chaos and doubt. This is important. You could be struggling with experienced professionals who don't give trust easily, and that can open the door to toxic behaviors from others, allowing them to think they can use this to their advantage. And that's what was happening with my client. Things were unraveling fast for her. And where she struggled with one group, she knew exactly how to deal with the other group. We worked on 3 architect moves. 1, setting the professional floor. This was about reminding these experts that while they own the data, she owns the supervision. And also, professionalism is non-negotiable. If they were as brilliant as they kept reminding her that they were, then they could act like respectful professionals. It's that simple. Number 2, the structural reassignment. This is always a great move. She realized these researchers were misplaced under branding, and that was evident early on. So instead of trying to please them, she built the business case to move them to a more appropriate data analytics group. In fact, if I recall, she had them moved out of marketing and into IT. This put them in a technical environment that was much better suited to their strengths and helped them feel more supported with their work. Number 3, the radical termination. This one felt good. She stopped trying to figure out a disgruntled team member who was better at creating noise and chaos but wasn't doing the work. She put him on a PIP, built the case for his termination, and moved forward with that quickly. And that's the point. She regained the narrative here, made very strong decisions to clean up the team, and then made some creative changes to put unengaged team members in a new environment where they could work more effectively. She stopped trying to win them over and started architecting a team that actually worked. And none of this was easy. This was about taking back ownership of the narrative. She was feeling compromised and behind, and the people she worked with really didn't care about her feelings. They had their own agenda. And it's my reminder to everyone with a strong title. Remember, she was a director, and that role comes with authority. Reintroduce yourself to where you have power. Separate yourself from the role or title so you can see where the authority lies in the organization. Take a deep breath and then re-enter that role with a clean slate so you can start making decisions that are best for the team, the department, and the company. Move these experts out, pip out low performers, and rebuild a team that's fully aligned with the business strategy and objectives. Now, the turning point came when my client stopped looking down at the toxic team and started looking up at meaty assignments that played to her branding strengths. She stopped asking, do they think I'm qualified? And started asking, how can I contribute at the highest level? This shift in focus is what led to her eventual promotion. She didn't earn their respect by becoming a data scientist. She earned it by being a leader who wasn't afraid to make the tough structural calls. She had some people still on her team who watched her be very decisive. And after those changes, she re-engaged with the remaining team members and asked them what they wanted to work on. These were her questions. From a brand perspective, where are we playing small with solution-based narrative? Are there opportunities to sharpen messaging in smaller markets? Where have we missed opportunities over the past 5 years? Here's why those questions to the remaining team were important. She was re-engaging with what the brand team was set up to do, but became diluted with data analytics. To get the team back into motivation for the work they were hired to do, she asked them strategy questions about how they could build out a brand strategy that was aligned with the business, but also helped the team contribute to that new direction in a meaningful way. This is the nuance. She was feeling compromised because she was leading in a space that felt unfamiliar to her. She rebuilt the team to align it back to its core purpose, and then she worked with them to create a brand strategy that was forward-leaning and meaty, all while empowering that team to create those solutions. She started with a mess, redefined what success would look like for her, and then rebuilt a team that was completely aligned with her biggest strengths, driving a compelling and innovative brand identity forward. Imposter syndrome can show up in a number of ways, and the people around you can either help you overcome it, like a good boss who reflects your strengths back to you, or amplify it until it becomes destructive, like a resentful team that blames you for something you didn't do. And when you feel vulnerable, that external narrative can be hurtful and damaging. This case study has a good ending, but I've condensed it. We worked together for 18 months and she was struggling. She was way inside her head and she was hurting. And she solved these problems on her own, working on finding creative solutions for her team. She wasn't getting advice from the executive director or VP on how to fix this, but I can tell you that they supported and approved of every decision she made. And after all that time, on the other side of 2 years, she was well positioned for a promotion because of the work she did with brand development in smaller markets. And that was her wheelhouse. At the end of the day, my client's story isn't just about a toxic team. It's about the courage to reintroduce yourself to your own power. When you feel vulnerable, whether it's because you took leave, changed industries, or hit a plateau, it's easy to let the snooty voices in the room become your inner monologue. But remember, dignity and respect in the workplace aren't things you beg for. They are things you architect through your decisions. My client didn't wait for those researchers to finally like her. She made the structural calls that were best for the business. She moved the misplaced, she terminated the toxic, and she re-engaged the motivated. And she did it all while battling the internal voice that told her she was behind. If you're in a respect vacuum right now, I want you to stop looking for validation from the people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, look up at the meaty assignments. Look at the strategic gaps only you can fill. Rebuild your team to align with your strengths, not your insecurities. If this story resonated with you, type dignity in the comments below. I want to know who is ready to take back their narrative this year. We are almost at the end of our February series on the imposter to architect shift. We've covered everything from the substance versus flash trap to leading experts when you aren't one. Next week, we are closing out the month with a topic many of you have asked for: what to do when your peer doesn't respect you. We're going to talk about how to handle the colleague who treats you like an assistant rather than an equal, and how to reclaim your social authority in the room. And looking ahead to March, we'll be moving into a brand new theme, the high-stakes politics of the C-suite. We'll be talking about how to handle the unstoppable force of a difficult boss and how to maintain your sanity in a truly dysfunctional culture. It's going to be fun. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the series finale next week or our new March kickoff. And as always, you can grab my communication toolkit at the link below to start drafting your architect statements today. I'm Christina Holloway. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.